This has been a political proctology exam, and he's emerging with a clean bill of health. There's no other way to look at it.
The big victory is no collusion with the Russians.
Even in its incomplete form, however, the Mueller report outlines disturbing evidence that President Trump engaged in obstruction of justice and other misconduct.
Whether these acts are criminal or not, whether the obstruction of justice was criminal or not, or whether these contacts were sufficiently illicit or not to rise to the level of a criminal conspiracy, they are unquestionably dishonest, unethical, immoral, and unpatriotic, and should be condemned by every American.
The Democrats and their friends in the mainstream media have put so much into this. They've invested so much into this, Harris, that they got nothing. As my Italian grandma would say, un gats. They got nothing going into 2020.
What's demonstrated in powerful and compelling detail in this report is nothing less than a national scandal.
This report also makes clear that when the president fired Jim Comey, he wasn't trying to end the Russia investigation.
Bob Mueller, Rob Rosenstein, and Bill Barr, all three of them, sterling reputations. All three of them about as close to apolitical as you can imagine. So you could not have asked for more objective individuals to be involved in this process.
What we have here now is a situation where the Attorney General of the United States of America has been corrupted.
We clearly can't believe what Attorney General Barr tells us.
Attorney General Barr clearly was protecting the president, acting as his lawyer, not the American people's.
This president and his team did not interfere whatsoever in the Department of Justice's attempt to get millions of pages of documents and dozens of witnesses. There was no attempt to redact any portion of the report. There was no assertion of executive privilege. This president and his team has been completely compliant.
The report makes clear that the president refused to be interviewed by the special counsel and refused to provide written answers to follow-up questions. Page 13 of Volume 2. Makes clear that his associates destroyed evidence relevant to the Russian investigation. Page 10, Volume 1. The report concluded there was substantial evidence, in quotes, that President Trump attempted to prevent an investigation into his campaign and his own conduct. Page 76, page 78, page 90, page 157, Volume 2.
Look, what all these people have had to say over millions of words, thousands of hours on TV, in print, on Twitter, has zero legal significance. What matters is what the Department of Justice and the special counsel concluded here, which is no collusion, no obstruction, and complete exoneration, as the president says.
What I think our friends on the other side will do will be to try to destroy their reputations because they don't like what they're hearing. You shouldn't buy that. This investigation could not have been handled in a better way.
You can read that collusion 200 pages as much as you want. Believe me, I was up 2 nights going through it, and you're not going to find a darn thing that shows that President Trump or anybody on his campaign had any kind of connection with whatever the Russians were doing.
This report is far from the end of the inquiry that this country needs and deserves. It is the beginning of another chapter.